By observing the way they died, the druids believed they could see omens of the future. 2,000 years later, we've come no further. Samhain isn't evil spirits. It isn't goblins, ghosts, or witches. It's the unconscious mind.
Hey, yo, friends. Trick or treat. You got a tummy ache? You've been eating candy for the last 4 days since we dropped our Halloween 2 episode. I bet you eat all the Mr. Good bars. I'm in there. I'm taking them. You got any Reese's peanut butter cups left? Vertebrae is going to snatch them right out from under you. Happy post-Halloween. This is episode 35, part 2 in Madness Pod. I'm Shawn the Butcher. I'm here with Vertebrae33. What's going on, dude?
Shawn, what's happening? Everything okay?
Everything
is
doing
all right?
Yes, kill some. Wait, keep talking for 2 seconds. My cat's screaming at me. I'm going to get him real quick.
Wait, what's going on? We're starting an episode and Shawn has left me already all by myself in the room. The adult has left and he's left me with a microphone by myself. So let's talk about whatever I want to talk about. Let's discuss. We'll discuss Halloween candy if we want. Let's take calls. Caller number 1. You're on the air. Caller number 1.
You gave away
What's
the
your
secret
name and where are you from?
Of candy corn and pretzels. What would you have any other Halloween candy secrets?
I was running a whole different show while you were gone for the last 10 seconds, Shawn. I was about to give out like marital advice on line 1. Benny from Ohio, you're on. What's your problem?
My cat just made his debut on the podcast.
Yeah. I went to the hospital and only 3 people were working there in the whole place.
It was very dark for some reason.
Yeah.
You can follow us on the socials. We are the premier podcast, especially for Halloween, at inmadnesspod at gmail.com for your emails and your voice notes, anything you want to discuss about not only this Halloween episode but any of our episodes. We are on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, give us the 5 stars. Check out the In Madness Spotify playlist. Happy In Madness Monday. If that's when you're listening, you can get your In Madness shirt at inmadness.com. And I'm pretty sure Vertebrae still has the same mug that he had last week.
I do, but for all the YouTube folks, I have this Music by John Carpenter shirt on.
Sick. We got to post that on the social.
And Keeping Me Warm is a incredible, you can't see it, incredible Mischief Toys zip up hoodie. So, Shawn always gives the shout outs, but we won the Mischief Toys.
Is
Chris
there
and Heather
anything
from Mischief Toys
on the back of that hoodie?
So it's got a big old Ghastly on the back. Let's see. I'll turn around.
Yeah, go ahead, do it. We'll post it on the socials too, but make sure you check us out on YouTube. Oh, he's about to knock his microphone over. You got to stand up. Oh, look at Ghastly. That looks cool. Shout out to Mischief Toys. Shout out to Chris and Heather. Make sure you check out our Mischief Toys pre-Comic-Con episode.
Yeah, that was cool. I almost knocked my mic. This episode is rocking. So we've had a call-in show with Benny from Ohio. I showed the back of a hoodie to people who listen on iTunes, which is fantastic for them while they're driving their car. And then there's another special guest if you're watching on YouTube. Who's that?
This is me and my girlfriend's cat, Gus, who we call Goosey. Say hi to him.
Oh, what's up, Gus? Look at that. How you doing?
Check him out on YouTube if you're on YouTube.
There's a reason to go on YouTube. See, now we got kitty cats on there. You're good to go.
So to recap, shall I recap what happened on last week's episode?
No, I want Gus to do the recap.
For real, he's sitting here like Mr. Bigglesworth. I wonder how long he'll sit here while I do this recap. Ready?
Ready.
Our movie picked up where Halloween 1 left off. Michael has been shot 7 times, even though Loomis claims it was 6. He was on a murderous rampage, still chasing after poor Laurie Strode, who is now injured and sedated and stuck in a hospital with 2 jabroni EMT dudes, Tweedledee and Tweedledouche. Tweedledee is a thing for Laurie. Tweedledouche is about to get what's coming to him any second now. Loomis is also out of his damn mind in this movie. He almost shot a teenager in a Michael Myers mask, but before he got a chance to, a speeding cop car sandwiched the kid to death between a car in the middle of the street that randomly also explodes on impact. The cops think it was Mike and he's dead, but Loomis knows better. Now Michael is on his way to this empty-ass hospital Laurie is being held at. Shady things begin happening at the hospital, like the phone line going dead. So our other jabroni security guard is on the job to find out what's wrong with the phones.
Mm-hmm.
There's the 5 minutes of teasing and animals running out, Gus coming out and scaring the security guard. He goes, checks a closet, nothing there. He closes the door and whee! There's Michael, hammer claw to the skull, security guard dead. The nurse gets annoyed with the walkie-talkie and just walks off to get back to work.
So the one guy who could have helped anybody, I don't know, was he carrying a gun? Did he carry a gun, the security guard?
I think he just had the flashlight.
Yeah, he just had a big old. It's enough to get like 6D batteries in there. You could probably get a good shot in on somebody. But it's the one guy who could help us is gone. Although we still have the like the paramedics and stuff that might be able to help.
At the morgue, Loomis and Blondie are scoping out the charred remains of this kid. Blondie's the cop who has now taken the place of Brackett after he found out that his daughter, Annie, from the first movie has been murdered. They're checking out these charred remains of this kid they just murdered. Kid's about 17, but Myers is 21. He's still on the loose. So now it's also Loomis and cops' fault that this kid is dead.
Mm.
Now there's an angry mob at the Myers house throwing bricks through the windows. It's like Springfield when there was the burlesque house.
Oh God, I just saw that episode actually.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's like there's a killer on the loose in this town. We've only got like 5 or 6 cops, tops, and now we've got a bunch of dorks in members only jackets attacking the killer's house. So that's your plan. This guy's out killing people. So we're going to go antagonize you by throwing stuff at your house that you haven't been in for how many years anyway. And yeah, this is weird. Although, this in the new trilogy they did this. That's where this mob stuff comes from. Is from this. But this is a bizarre move. And why is there a cop there protecting this house? Who
With
cares?
guns.
Who cares? You've got a killer on the loose. You've got like 10 cops and like 3 cop cars. One of your cops smashed a kid into another car and it exploded and he burst into flames. And your concern is to protect the abandoned home that's been abandoned for how long that some serial killer lived at.
This reminds me, it's of one of my favorite Simpsons jokes, and it's from that episode from the burlesque house.
Mm-hmm.
And the Reverend's wife is like, they're having sex in front of the Children. And Krusty goes, the sex cauldron? I thought they closed that place down.
Is that the episode where Bart is working there and like Grandpa walks in, he's whistling, and then he realizes he's like hangs his hat up, and then he turns around and walks right back out whistling. Yeah, I just saw that the other day.
They break into song, and then Marge misses the entire thing and comes to steamrolls the entire house and crushes it, and everyone's super mad at her. Simpsons rules, and it applies to everything, and I will bring it up every time on In Madness Pod. Blondie tells Loomis Haddonfield used to be quiet before tonight. They had themselves a smoke. Blondie says the only gunshots you heard were at the track meet at the high school. Loomis says he had one night in the 63 Michael Myers murdered his sister in the upstairs bedroom with a large butcher knife on Halloween. Blondie remembers he was 16 years old when it happened. Loomis says this is the anniversary. He came back after 15 years. He waited with extraordinary patience. There was a force inside him, biding its time. The staff was used to him being silent. He was the ideal patient. Didn't talk, didn't cry, didn't even move. He just waited. The staff didn't know what he was, but Loomis knew.
Mm. And also, this angry mob waited 15 years to go after this. It's a house sat abandoned for 15 years. You know, some of them should go work at the hospital. What are they? What are they all doing? So, if you notice when you go to look at this mob too, Shawn, there's like not a lot of kids in it. So it's like all adults because presumably the kids are still out trick or treating with a killer on the loose. Like, shouldn't everybody just be home? They obviously knew. How did they all know to attack that house? Word spread very quickly that it
That it
was the
was Michael
Myers
Myers.
kid and it
Yeah.
was a Myers house. But word didn't spread quick enough to like maybe stay home because we didn't
Yeah.
get
Maybe instead of
that yet.
throwing bricks to the house, go get your kids off the street and get them to safety.
Yeah, so Haddonfield's got a lot of issues. Parental issues, policing issues, medical facility issues.
Just like Springfield. And the kids are running rampant because here comes a couple of them pushing right through the crowd. They're worried about their friend, Ben Tramer. Like Vertebrae mentioned previously, Ben Tramer was the dude that Laurie had a crush on in the first movie. He was missing. He was real drunk. He was 17. The kids say he had a stupid mask on. Blondie's like, all right, get out of here. Loomis looks him dead in the face, 17, wearing a mask, and throws his cigarette down angrily. They barbecued Ben Tramer. Poor Ben. Poor Laurie.
And do you think those kids said he was wearing a stupid mask because they think he's probably too old? There's that phase, like right around that age, maybe a little earlier, where it's not cool to go trick or treating. And maybe that's the time because these are just going to like, even you get it now, right? I get teenagers that don't have any costumes on. They just come up and say trick or treat because you're giving candy out. But because I think it's a pretty crazy looking mask. I don't think it's a dorky mask in any way. Do you?
I love it. I think it's creepy as hell. But
Yeah.
so Ben Tramer's had like blonde hair, it looked like. It
Yeah.
didn't have the brown hair. So I guess with blonde hair, it does look kind of stupid.
There you go.
A cop runs up and says there's been a break-in at the elementary school. They think it was Michael. Back at the hospital, the loser EMT guy is hitting on the nurse, playing tricks on her, scaring her. She says he's the biggest jerk in the world, which he is, but for some reason or another, she has a thing for this jagoff. He wants to get it on with her in the therapy room, but first, she has to check on the babies. Laurie's asleep having a dream. She's a little girl. A lady's telling her, I'm not your mother. We see a boy sitting in a chair looking at a window. He turns around. It's young Michael.
This is so weird, Shawn. This is absolutely, we see like drips of blood in between it, like on the ground, and then it cuts back to her, and then to her as a little girl, and then more drips of blood, and she's got this big doll, and he's in an institution of some sort. So what are we supposed to make of this?
It's a segue to the setup. It's a setup to the twist.
But she didn't ever see him in the institution, did she?
She's dreaming it, but she's dreaming it. Maybe it's a compartmentalized part of her brain.
Maybe. So weird. So weird.
Cut to the therapy room, and Jagoff EMT is in the therapy hot tub, and his nurse girlfriend gets naked and hops in with him. We get an epic boob shot as she climbs in and for whatever reason starts making out with this loser.
Yeah, and apparently this hot tub was like freezing cold. Water.
Oh, that's movie magic because it looks legitimately hot as hell.
Yeah, they said it was freezing cold.
Why not just heat it up? What the hell is wrong with them? It sounds like making movies really sucks. Like even from when you were telling me with like Alien and just the hell they get put through, it's like none of this sounds in the least bit fun.
Yeah.
In the other room, there's the temperature controls for the hot tub. Michael sneaks in. He cranks it all the way up. The nurse says it's too hot and sends Jabroni out to go check it out. We see the nurse get out of the hot tub with her back turned to the temperature room as Michael sneaks up, wraps a rope around the EMT dude's neck, chokes him to death in the next room, but the nurse doesn't see or hear anything.
Explain this to me, Shawn. hydrotherapy pool, water temperature not to exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So why can you turn the handle and have it go above 100 degrees? There's a red zone on there. If you look at it and you pause it, it has a danger zone of 120 to 140. Why have
Why
the
is
danger
that an
zone
option?
exist? Yeah, why is it an option? I don't understand. You could cap it. It could get only so hot. Like I don't somebody explain to me what is the reasoning to
What
have this go
they're like, we
even.
need to make a huge stew for the whole hospital, and we don't have a bowl big enough to do it, so we have to make it in the therapy tub.
Yeah, because also you're turning this handle that's making it hotter, but it doesn't look like there's any kind of like notches or anything on that. So you sort of gotta it's like your
Eyeball
tub.
it.
Yeah, it's your tub at home. So you're just turning it. Oh, it's too hot. I'll turn it down a little bit. But in this case, it needs to be hot because it's a therapy tub. But like, when it gets around 100-ish, and then you turn the knob the other way. This just seems like a really, really bad plan.
He kills this dude, thank God. He makes his way out to the nurse. Mike gently puts his hand on her shoulder. She thinks it's the EMT dude. She begins touching and stroking his hand, kissing and biting his finger. Look at Michael getting some action. He tears his
So
hand away
weird.
from her, and when she turns around, bum, bum, bum. There's Michael, who grabs her by the back of the neck and submerges her face in the burning water. She's yelling, screaming, drowning, burning. Mike keeps taking her out and dunking her back in, and each time more and more of this skin is burning off her face. It's a pretty sick kill until finally she's dead, and he throws her mangled, burnt face on the floor. It's gross.
So I'm gonna ask you why she dies. Why?
I mean, probably just from terrible burns. The burns.
And how is he burning her by dunk? He's holding her head with his bare hands. He's not burned at all.
Well, it was his hand, and that's the thing. I was gonna look. Does his hand get like screwed
Yeah,
up
it goes in the
each
water.
time?
Yeah, he's got the back of her head, so
No,
she's
but like, does his hand come out burned too, or it just comes out
no,
unscathed? Well,
no.
whatever.
His hand just comes out
He
clean.
got shot 6 times and he's still alive, so he doesn't get
It's
burned either.
he doesn't get burned either.
Clearly, from the end of this movie.
They said that when they were filming this movie, you know, the stunt man was the guy, the stunt coordinator was the guy who was walking around as Michael Myers. And there's he mentions in the documentary that later on, kind of after the movie came out, he heard that Deborah Hill said that he walked too quickly. And I'm sorry, not too quickly, too slowly. And I did notice that he walks like incredibly slow, especially with those security guard scenes. Those move a little slow. But they discussed filming this scene, and he was essentially like, all he did was like, he just gently places his hand on the back of her head, and she's throwing herself forward and back, and his hand is just kind of like riding on the back of her head as she goes back in and out of the water as they're filming it. So, but yeah, that therapy room, that seems dangerous. I don't think these are the first people to get hurt in that room.
The cops and Loomis are at the school where they think Mike broke into. There's a drawing on a table with a knife jammed into it. Loomis takes a look and sees the knife is in the sister. On the blackboard in blood is written Samhain. Loomis says it's a Celtic word, the Lord of the Dead, end of summer, the festival of Samhain. October 31st. All of a sudden, a woman bursts in saying she needs to speak to Loomis. And who is it? It's the lady from Halloween 1, who Loomis was driving with in the very beginning when Mike stole the car to escape the mental institution. She tells
Right,
Loomis
the smoking nurse, right? She's famous
the
for
red
being the
rabbit.
smoking nurse.
Yeah.
But Shawn, back up. They're at the school. Michael's at some point gone in the school. When and why and how? Where did the drawing come from?
It's the kids in the classroom. I guess that was one
Okay,
of the
so a kid
projects. Draw your
drew a
family.
picture of his family.
Mm-hmm.
So Michael broke into the school
Mm-hmm.
to write that on the board
Mm-hmm.
in blood,
Mm-hmm.
and then put a knife. He's rifling through until he finds one that has a little girl.
He is a little trickster. He does do detail with his bits.
That's like a lot of work. So he broke into the school. He didn't set off any alarms. He didn't alert any security guards there.
Well, that's why the cops are there because he broke in and they knew there was a
Okay.
break in.
So he
Yeah.
broke in. So they found out. Meanwhile, at one point later in the scene, you got a guy in the background just waxing the floors. Did you notice that guy?
Yes.
Break it, and he's just, I'm going to operate the wax machine at this time.
Maybe he didn't hear it over the wax machine.
Yeah, maybe he did, but I don't get this part at all. I don't get his need to go to the school. This is a weird. This feels they're shoehorning this in to sort of explain this story that they decided to do.
I fully agree.
Yeah, this is odd, and I don't know. I also too love that we go through like the the proper name is Samhain,
Samhain, yeah.
right? And then so this opens up this whole connection that was in the novelization, which we both have the printed in blood version of the novelization, which we should probably read soon and do an episode on that. We missed our Halloween due date for that, but every day's Halloween, right? That's what typo
That's what
negative
typo
said.
negative says. Very
Yeah.
good, Vertebrae.
So, but I'm going to read this because I read this in Halloween part 1 when we did it. And this is in the beginning of the novelization. And this is interesting because in future movies, we start to get into this whole kind of otherworldly connection with Michael. And now we're starting at a family connection. We get this otherworldly connection. And it says, the horror started on the eve of Samhain in a foggy vale in Northern Ireland at the dawn of the Celtic race. And once started, it trod the earth forevermore, wreaking its savagery suddenly, swiftly, and with incredible ferocity. Then, its lust sated, it shrank back into the mist of time for a year, a decade, a generation perhaps. But it slept only and did not die, for it could not be killed. And on the eve of Samhain, it would stir, and if the lust were powerful enough, it would rise to fulfill the curse invoked so many Samhains before. Then the people would bolt their doors. So I had read that in the other one. That's from the novelization.
Bolt
That
their
ties.
doors or throw bricks through windows.
Well, they're not bolting doors. They don't close any windows. They just put their members only jackets on and headed out for the rally outside of Michael Myers' house. We're going to throw some rocks. Maybe they have vegetables with them too. I know they always have vegetables, but that's a cool little piece that ties into the novelization. Although I have a lot of issues with this big reveal and these connections, I really love the connection to ancient evil. I'm okay with that being just the connection.
I dig that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, it is odd and it is out of place and weird and a lot of detail for Mike, a lot of things to do for him, but I like it. I like it. I think most of the things that happen in this movie are super cool, and I dig a lot of it, regardless of how weird a lot of it is. But this lady tells Loomis he's been ordered back to the psych ward by the governor. We got our nice guy EMT checking on Lori, but notices there's something wrong with her. She's laying in bed, still unresponsive, eyes wide open. They run to alert the drunk doctor. A nurse runs into his office. She's calling his name like 14 times. It's a little aggravating how many times she calls out his name. She finds him in his office, staring at his fish tank. She calls his name some more and turns him around in the chair, and there he is, needle smashed directly into his eyeball. Pretty sick kill. She begins walking backwards into the darkness, and then out of the darkness, just like in Halloween 1, Michael's face illuminates from out of the shadows. He grabs her and jabs a needle right into her temple and kills her. With her body on the ground, Michael's staring from above and does the creepy head tilt.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they kept that. Like, there's a lot of cool things in this movie.
Yeah, it's funny in the making of, the director says, "Oh, we did this part where he emerges from the darkness that hadn't been done before," and I was like yelling out at the screen that was done before, and it was done from the closet. I don't know why he said it that way. It's almost the same exact reveal.
Carpenter's was better, but yeah, it's. I thought I figured it was like an influence from that.
Right.
Apparently not, according to that dude. The nice guy EMT is searching for the head nurse. Michael makes his way into Laurie's room. He's carrying his little baby scalpel. He raises it in the air and repeatedly stabs Laurie's bed, but the joke's on him because Laurie is up and out and left pillows in her place as a decoy. Laurie is injured and sedated and walking through the halls.
Why?
She knew Michael was coming.
How?
From the phone being not working. She just knew. She knew.
She dips in and out in this film. First of all, it's a bold move to have, you come out of the original Halloween with her surviving and Jamie Lee Curtis as a big star out of this, and then we're going to just have her in the hospital bed and she's going to be sleeping for like a good part of the film. But she goes from being like
theme for In Madness.
Yeah, there's a sleeping, lots of waking up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're just tired when we record these podcasts, so we're jealous of the people who are sleeping. But she vacillates between being super coherent and like out cold. It's interesting. So out of nowhere, she sort of, and this obviously adds to the drama of the film, but she disappeared. She put the pillows there to try to trick him. She's onto him. Would we say that there's a connection between the two of them that she did not feel one iota only like a couple hours ago?
But now she's totally mentally linked.
It's a few hours later.
Mm-hmm.
When she's stabbing sewing needles in his eye or doing whatever, she had no connection. Yeah.
Nice guy EMT ventures into one of the surgery rooms and finds the head nurse on a table dead from what I believe is called bloodletting, where all of the blood is taken out of the body.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tube coming out of her arm, and the entire floor is absolutely covered in the absolute most brightest, reddest blood I've ever seen in my life. They need to go back and work on that blood formula. But anyway, the EMT goes to run. He's standing in blood, ends up launching himself in the air, falling onto the blood, smacking his head on the floor, and knocking himself unconscious.
And that blood on the floor, there was drips in her dream, or there was intercut in her dream. So I feel like that had something to do with it as well. But weird.
Laurie is trying to find a way out of the hospital when from the other end of the hall, a nurse calls out for her and begins running after her. Laurie turns around, and there's Michael behind the nurse with his little itty bitty scalpel. He jams it into her spine, lifts her off the ground, and drops her on the floor dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now Laurie knows she's in deep shit. This is indeed real. Michael is here for her. She begins running for cover. Michael is slowly stalking after her. I really do enjoy how Michael is played, how this actor portrays him, how he walks, the mask, how it fits him. I think it's all super cool.
And when he kills the nurse and lifts her up, and then her like white clogs drop to the floor, that's a cool little moment.
I have a little it's like a baseball card. Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna post that. I got like, I don't know what I got. Like I got like a pack of Halloween cards or something. I don't know where the rest of them are, but I have one card and it's him holding up the nurse, and the bottom says, "It's time, Michael." I'll post a picture of that on the socials. Yeah, I gotta find out where the rest of those cards are. If there's horror trading cards, I'm looking for a hobby. Laurie finds an elevator and is waiting for the doors to open, but Michael has found her. He comes around a corner and begins agonizingly slow coming towards her. He gets right up to her, but the elevator door closes. He's so close that his hand even gets caught in the door before it closes, but instead of it opening like it always does when I'm at work, just trying to get up, and the doors are open the whole time, and then they close, and then someone stops it to jump in, and then it has to do the whole recycle of waiting to close. Instead of it opening like it does for everyone at my job, this door just closes.
I find it hard to believe that this hospital didn't have better safety mechanisms on the elevator. Yeah, he moves really slow, and that when he's coming down the hallway, he's like, Yeah, excruciatingly slow.
Yeah, it's painful. Laurie escapes to the parking lot, hops in the car, but mechanic Michael has messed with all the cars so they don't run and also has flattened all the tires. Loomis is heading
When
out.
and how? When and how? When and how? He goes to the school. He's scratching out drawings. He's writing on the chalkboard in blood. I guess it's his blood. He's now outside popping holes in tires. Yeah, it's crazy. Busy boy.
Yeah, I think that when that nurse walked in and like his face was in like her side mirror, I feel
Mhm.
like before he snuck in and killed the security guard, he just quickly went around like pop, 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 pop. But how he stopped every car from running. I mean, how do you pop every hood and like, yeah,
Well, I mean, luckily he's at one hospital in the United States of America that only has like 6
4 cars, yeah.
employees, right? So how many? If somebody carpools too, there's not even that many cars.
Short work for Mike. Loomis is heading out with the nurse lady from the first movie and his police escort when she finally breaks the controversial news to him. I know this is hated in Halloween lore, but I don't mind. I kind of like this little stupid twist.
Hmm.
She tells him there's a file no one knew about, sealed by the court after his parents were killed. Parents killed? How? Murdered? Car accident? Natural causes? How did Michael's parents die?
Yeah, I don't know.
Loomis is annoyed. He says he's seen all the files. She tells him it's not fair. They didn't let him see everything. Laurie Strode is Michael Myers' sister. Bum, bum, bum. She
Yeah.
was born. Now, this math is weird to me. 2 years before he was committed,
Mm-hmm.
2 years after his parents died, and she was adopted by the Strodes.
Mm-hmm.
They requested the records be sealed to protect the family, and that's when Loomis figures it out. He killed one sister 15 years ago. Now he's trying to kill the other one.
And so the Strodes, who are just like nice people because they want to adopt this child, her father decides to have her go to the house that her brother killed her sister in to drop the keys off because they're not able to sell that house. Right? That's what
What an
happens in the
asshole. Yeah.
original. Yeah. It makes them look like really bad people. Yeah, I do. I go back and forth on this twist. Listen, I love world building and I obviously love gnarly bits and weird little connections. This one just doesn't make any sense to me at all. It just doesn't, from what was set up in the original film, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I would I would be hard pressed to think that her dad on Halloween is going to have his adopted daughter drop the keys off at the house that her brother killed her sister in.
On the
Yeah.
anniversary of her death.
On the anniversary of it. Like that's, I mean, listen, they make a lot of poor anniversary decisions throughout all the Halloween films. They have the constant need to transport Michael on
On
October 30th
Halloween.
or on the 31st every single time over and over again. But this one, it just doesn't click. This feels like the studio got involved. I can't see Carpenter wanting this to be a thing.
No.
And it got shoehorned into the TV extended cut for television so that maybe it would make more sense when it comes out here. But here's the thing, Shawn, it's even stranger when you think of what Season of the Witch is. So, like, if you made the connection that that's the sister, maybe it's to set up more. But we get this reveal with like 20 minutes to go in this movie. So, what are we supposed to even do with this information? Like, it's weird. Like, this was almost like if you knew you were making 3, you probably could have ended 2 on some sort of cliffhanger, knowing that that's his sister and maybe there's more to be revealed after that. But this seems like they were in the middle of it and were like, you know what we could do? We could make that the sister, and it worked. You know, we get Darth Vader and Luke reveals work so well. Why don't we do the same thing? That's what it feels like to
I
me.
didn't mind it. I didn't really care what it did to the story. I was just like, oh, cool, that's fun. A little fun little thing that they threw in just for the sake of like giving the movie a little like, an aha moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't bother me as much as it bothered the rest of the internet in
I
Madness
mean, I'm not
family.
angry about it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it bothered the internet because there was no internet at that time when it
Well, I
came out.
mean, as
But
much as it bothers the internet currently, yeah.
yeah, oh, agreed. I think people get angry about it. I just think it doesn't make any sense. But like, neither does some of the other things I really like about the upcoming films in this series. Don't make any sense, and I just think they're cool. So I get it.
Loomis orders the cop to turn around and take him to the hospital Laurie is at. The cop refuses, but Loomis ain't got no time to deal with this shit. He takes out his gun and sticks it right to the cop's throat. What do you fellas do? Fire a warning shot, right? And crazy ass Loomis fires a shot out of the cop's passenger window. The dude slams the brakes, turns the car around, and they head to the hospital.
Crazy Loomis is the best Loomis.
Out of his frigging mind in this movie. Back at the hospital, Laurie's still hiding in the car. Nice guy EMT ends up getting in the car, tries to start it, but it won't start. He seems out of it completely from smashing his head. Right there, he passes out and, of course, goes headfirst into the horn, making all sorts of noise, blowing their cover completely. Laurie crawls out of the car as Loomis and the cop pull up to the front door. Laurie's behind them, softly panting for help, but no one hears or sees her, and not until they are inside with the door shut does she finally scream for help.
Yeah, what happened there?
2 seconds earlier, you could have got their attention.
Yeah, frozen in fear, but why would she be afraid? Yeah, that was a weird one.
Laurie gathers her strength and makes a run for the door, and wouldn't you know it, Michael is right on her tail. Of course, now the hospital door is locked. She can't get in, so she's pounding on the door as he inches closer and closer till finally they let her in. They close the door again and lock it, but that's not gonna stop Michael. With his full-ass body, just walks in headfirst through the glass door. Loomis pumps 5 bullets into him, and he falls to the floor.
Yeah, so not only, but that's a really cool shot when he just kind of just keeps walking.
Crashes through, yeah.
It's really neat. But like, not only is the hospital have poor security, but they also have the weakest glass doors of any hospital, because he doesn't even have to pick up any speed. There's no momentum to him. He just kind of like pushes on it a little bit with his body, and boom,
I
goes
like
right
to
through
think
it.
that he's like superhuman strength, and even though he's just Michael and just Laurie's brother, I still like to think that he's a manifestation of evil and can walk through glass locked doors head first.
Well, they do allude to it, because why would he write Samhain on the board? What was that about? They never explained that in this film at all. Why would he went and was put away at what age? When he was a little kid? What's he reading about it? I don't know. Why would he even have that connection? So I think the seeds are planted right then and there for him being what he is later on in these films.
The cop walks over to Michael and Loomis yells at him to stop. The cop says he's dead. Loomis insists he's still breathing. The cop completely ignores Loomis, goes to check on Michael, who in classic fashion wakes up with his little itty bitty scalpel, grabs the cop by his head, slices his throat, and then begins slowly stalking Loomis and Laurie.
Yeah, that cop never watched any horror movies. You got to stay away.
I also hate Michael's weapon of choice in this movie, to go from a kitchen knife, a badass kitchen knife, to like multiple kills with a baby scalpel is just super underwhelming.
Well, listen, Shawn, we're moments away from finding out what a powerful sound a baby scalpel makes. We're about to find out.
They take shelter in a surgical room. Michael finds them, breaks through the door. He stabs Loomis with his little bitty scalpel. So using Loomis's gun, Laurie calls out to Michael, which stops him in his tracks for a second. And maybe for a second you think perhaps this will change his mind. Maybe he will finally stop and come to his senses. But after a brief second, he continues towards Laurie with the little itty bitty scalpel until she pops off. 2 rounds, pop, pop, right into Michael's face.
And you know, Shawn, back up when he stalks him into the room, it's super scary when he's banging on that door and there's that little dirty window that you can kind of see him, and then he just sort of like bursts through that door. I like that part a lot. I thought that was pretty cool.
I'm going to post it. One of the best videos I've probably ever taken when I was watching this to review it and take notes for the podcast. I was watching it with my cat, Gus, who doesn't usually hang out with me and watch movies. And not only was he hanging out with me, but he was laying on the floor in front of the TV, eyeballing every moment that was going on. And it was to this exact scene where they walk into this room and Michael's banging on the door. And I took a great video of Gus fully enthralled watching this scene. So I'm going to definitely post it. We'll probably get a kabillion likes because we haven't posted any of our pets on the gram yet. And that's what the people love.
Oh, yeah. We could do that.
Yeah, it was just so funny because he was like, the music was going and like he wasn't looking at the wall or at the ceiling or just gazing around. This fucker was watching Halloween 2, and it was so cool. So love it or hate this part. Some people hate it because how does she shoot him in the eyes and he still survive? How does she pop off 2 perfect shots in his eyeballs? Yada, yada, all the complaints. However, again, I don't care. I think it's friggin' cool, especially in the next shot of Michael holding his hand in front of his face. And when he removes him, it seems like he's crying blood. Also, the blood is coming from above his eyes. So how did she shoot him in the face above his eyes without making holes in the mask? Either way, it doesn't matter. I think it's very cool. And NECA even put out the Halloween 2 toy that has the Michael with the bloody teardrops. It's friggin' awesome.
Yeah. It does make absolutely no sense.
Doesn't matter.
We get a Michael Myers karate movie that breaks out because he just starts swinging his hand and it makes that over and over and over again. Like they drill this into where is that sound coming from?
So it's like, I think it's his little itty bitty baby scalpel.
There's no way. Even if you swing a knife, it's not making that sound. There's just yeah.
He's blinded. He's swinging wildly, making the noise. Do it again, Vertebrae. And while that's happening, he's looking at just tearing at anybody's flesh. Laurie, Loomis, he doesn't care. But while he's doing it, there's these large tanks around, and they're all opening them up. And you can hear the air coming out rapidly. Vertebrae, do the knife, and I'll do the air.
You better watch it. You're going to upset your cat.
So this is going on. They are filling the room with ether and oxygen. Laurie and Loomis go back and forth, opening the tanks. Each time Mike hears one of them open, he turns around and starts slashing. Vertebrae. The room is filling with fumes. Loomis tells Laurie to make a run for it. Michael heads towards Loomis, who gives us the classic line. It's time, Michael. Loomis flicks his lighter and kablooey. The entire room explodes.
Oh no, Michael and Loomis are dead. End of franchise.
Outside of the room, we see Laurie sheltered from the blast, but the flames are right behind her and nowhere near the babies. And out of the flames walks Michael. He's unstoppable.
He's in a massive burn suit because it's like he's very bulky because they have to do like the burn
Layers,
suit to have him do that. Yeah.
He's like T-1000 though. He collapses to the floor. We get a
Mhm.
close-up shot of the mask like burning and melting.
Yeah, it's a cool shot. That's you should make that as a Yule log. They should offer that,
Oh,
like a Yule
do
log
they
video
have
of
it?
like Michael Myers
Let me
burning.
see. Let me see. I'm gonna look it up right now. I want to see if it exists. It should.
It should.
Bastards if they didn't. Michael
I
Myers.
always watch the there's a Darth Vader Yule
Darth
log
Vader. Yeah, so does
Mhm.
our buddy Charlie from prison.
From prison.
Oh, here it is. 4 hours.
4
Yule
hours of Michael
log.
Myers burning
Michael
Yule
Myers,
log.
Halloween 2.
Well, I'll have
Ah,
to
look at
put it on
that.
this year. Okay.
So cool. That's great. Uh, outside, cut to morning. Cops and ambulances, fire trucks all over the hospital. Blonde cop is asking another cop for the count. 10 dead so far. Laurie is pushed in a wheelchair into the back of another ambulance. Media is everywhere covering this momentous event in Haddonfield. The ambulance drives off into the mist. We get
Mhm.
another visual of the mask burning and the music once again. Bum 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 bum. Mr. Sandman kicks back in. Cut to black. Roll credits. The end. Great movie.
The end of what was supposed to be John Carpenter believed that he wanted to make a definitive ending. Let's burn Michael up. Let's blow up Loomis. This thing ends. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
Until
Yeah, but it's interesting. There's a extended the TV cut is a little extended and it's different. And in that, the final scene, Jimmy's in the ambulance and he's got a bandaged head, and they hold hands,
cute.
and then Laurie says, "We made it," and then the music starts to play. So that's like a different cut of this film that
The
you could watch on
Sandman music or the boop, 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 boop.
Mr. Sandman
Oh, damn. Okay.
plays. So she says, "We made it." And Jimmy's still alive. So presumably she has a boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, or at
Poor
least
Ben
Jimmy would have
Tramer.
liked that.
Ben
Yeah.
Tramer's dead, but it's okay because Laurie's still getting nookie from the EMT guy.
So maybe they, if they would have had them in part 3, they could have been together,
Mm.
and Michael could have came after both of them. But I when that ambulance pulls away, didn't you think we'd get a stinger of the Myers music, or like we'd see something move, like from the burnt body or something?
They just end it. Yeah. Yeah. There's no shock. There's no surprise. It's just it's over. It's
Yeah,
burning. He's dead.
that's what Carpenter wanted. He wanted it to be over, but other people had other plans.
And then so the controversial season of The Witch, Halloween 3. I mean, when I came up, everyone was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just you could skip Halloween 3. Just go from 2 to 4 to 5." And for a long time I did. But then on the streaming services, Halloween 3 would just pop up everywhere. So I've now seen it multiple times, and I'm half and half on it, definitely.
I like Halloween 3 a lot. You know
A
that.
lot of people, there's a cult behind it, definitely, and
I
I
think
know
it was a
you're
weird thing. I don't think I cared for it when I was younger, and it wasn't on my radar at all. I think it was when I got older and I watched it and I was like, "Oh, this is a really weird movie." And once you're over the fact that it's not a Halloween movie per se, I was fine with it. But I think everyone was disappointed because they just wanted more Michael Myers. So that's the era and that was going on at that time. Much like now, is sort of like the remake era,
Mm,
or hey, you like this so much when they made it in 1979, let's just make a whole movie of this again and
mm,
you'll like it too, right? That's what's happening now. This was the sequel era. Not that there's not sequels, we actually kind of got both things going on right now, but it's a lot of remakes. I mean, listen, there's a lot of remakes of films that we like. The Thing is a remake, right?
mhm,
So I guess things just are cyclical, and that's what happens. And the remakes mean a lot to us. But this is a bizarre movie, Halloween 2, Shawn. It's a weird one. It feels to me, because of the hospital and the sort of sparse sets and not a
mm.
lot of people, rather than scary, it feels a little cheap to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it still makes me really, really uncomfortable. And it's still parts of it that where I would, there's good jump scares and there's just weirdness. But this is, if you think this movie's weird, this is just the beginning of what happens in this franchise as far as weirdness goes. They're only touching on it a little bit. But it's a lot of fun. I hope everyone had a lot of fun listening to us talk about it. And yeah, Halloween 2.
Happy Halloween. We did it. We gave you the secret episode last week and your regular episode this week. So you're not getting an episode next week, but then we'll return the week after that with some more fun stuff. We also recently put up a voting poll for you to pick our next movie. Perhaps it got a really good reaction. So maybe this can be a more reoccurring thing with the podcast to help get the listeners super involved by actually picking the movie that we're going to do. I'm looking very much forward to that one. Make sure you check us out on the socials. We want to know what you thought about Halloween 2 and Halloween 1 and any of our episodes of In Madness Pod on the socials at In Madness Pod, inmadnesspod@gmail.com, on YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, give us 5 stars. Check out the In Madness Spotify playlist, which is now going to house Mr. Sandman. Great song. Make sure you tell everybody you know about this show. Get your In Madness shirt at inmadness.com. And I can't wait for next Halloween already. I'm already getting excited, even though I don't love Halloween 3 as much as I love this movie. I really did enjoy Halloween 2. The second I went to go pick up, I remember going to pick it up because my mom took me to like Sam Goody at Roosevelt Field for Christmas. And I was like, I want movies. And all I did was get a bunch of VHS tapes. That's when it was like in one session, I got 7 and Halloween 2 and Child's Play 2. And I just walked out of Sam Goody with a stack of VHS tapes. My mom's like, this is what you want for Christmas? And I'm like, yes. So yeah, I've been all about this for a while. I've been all about this movie for a while. I'll post up the VHS tape. Yeah, I love being able to have copies of stuff like that still on VHS and still have the VCR to watch it on. But yeah, I every year I'll watch this movie. I'll watch Halloween 1 and I'll immediately follow it up watching this. Still, not as good as the first one, but like still very enjoyable, I feel.
Nice. That's awesome.
So let us know what you think. And yeah, what do you want to plug? Anything you want to plug, Vertebrae?
I don't know. What am I supposed to plug, Shawn? I don't know.
You plug it at the end of every other episode. Also, everything we talk about.
Vertebrae33, all the socials. You can buy shirts from me. You can follow me for candy tips. You can get a glimpse into how boring I am when Shawn's not on the podcast and I'm pretending to have a call-in show. That was kind of interesting.
I'm looking forward to hearing that.
Hopefully we get more Gus on these episodes. That would be good.
Yeah, look out for him on our socials. We will see you not next week. Take a little break. We'll be back in 2 weeks for another episode of the premiere podcast, In Madness Pod.